assistance with, you can leverage my experience to turn it all the way around. Because here at Nassau, we're the #1 real estate experts with real solutions. But before I get started, I had to tell you about this sponsor. This sponsor is brought to you from Broke to Millions, baby. From Broke to Millions. Get the book, man. Get the book from Broke to Millions, man. I share all the secrets and the steps on how I went from 0 to 1,000 units with no money down. I'll show you all these secrets. I'm still using these techniques today in large developments. So get the book now from Broke to Millions. And look, everybody on Instagram, Facebook, Burr Apartment Investor Secrets, West app. But man, give a shout out to my man, Walt. Piper, what's cracking, brother?
I'm good. Blessings to everyone out here.
Blessings, all right, man.
Blessings.
How's your week, man?
Man, my week was busy. It was busy. My son's super busy, man. He just did we just recorded a song for, it was a Kanye West song too. I don't know why they did that. But he recorded a song to go for the documentary for Blink.
Oh,
nice. Yeah, which was pretty dope.
That's awesome, man. Blink is a big light show here in downtown that takes over everything. That's pretty awesome, man. All the way from Asian persuasion, the Philippines. Window Guzman, what's up, brother?
All right, guys, how are you? Yeah.
So, hey man, forget him. I still got my Cabo Mexico look, man.
You're still
like letting the beard grow. I'm still just, live. Look at me. Look at my eyes. They still drooping.
How was Mexico?
You're still on vacation mode?
Man.
Was it vacation or was it business? A little bit of both.
No, it was vacation and it was a wedding and vacation. I'm being honest, truth. I had no idea where I was going. I thought we were just going to Mexico. So I booked all these flights, never even looking at where we were at. Oh my gosh, that was some trill. Cabo is the shit.
I heard.
It is.
I heard.
Nice,
I'm gonna have to make my way that way.
We did I did the yacht. I used the yacht for a day.
Nice.
That was pretty
baller.
Yeah.
See you.
I had big boy. I pulled up like parking lot pimping in the ocean.
Was it one of them yachts you got to use the boat to get to it?
No, but you did have a boat on top of the boat.
Man.
That's when you know you have a big boat.
Yeah. No, it was trill, man. Hey, it was so funny because I kept telling everybody, we getting a pontoon. We getting on one of them pontoons. And so when we pull up, everybody was like, there was a little store. And it was like, how long? We're going to be on about 4 or 5 hours. And it was like, we're going to snorkel too. And it was like, well, where the pond, when we pulled up, it was a little store. So people started buying drinks and water and sodas. I was like, what are you doing? Where are we getting drinks for the pontoon? It's like, there ain't no fucking pontoon out here, man. And we get on. They was like, ooh, we getting on that boat? Whoa.
5-star service right there.
Yeah, I mean, it was all right, bro.
They do lunch on the boat and everything?
Did everything. Drinks, everything.
Man.
If you haven't did one, man, get your money together, treat yourself right. That was my first time on a real yacht.
Nice.
Yeah.
You need to be thinking big, bitch. You big, bitch. Big beard, bitch.
Oh my God.
All right.
All right, what's up? What we got today? When? Yeah, man.
Yeah, today we're gonna talk about stagflation.
Ooh, we about to educate some people today.
Yep. We got
That's some serious stuff right there.
Yeah, and then more importantly,
just when you thought inflation wasn't enough,
how to make money and like why real estate. Well, anyway, I'm jumping ahead of myself, but how to make money even during stagflation, because sooner or later it will happen. But whatever happens in the future, whether we'll have stagflation, recession, whatever, right? At the end of the show or close to the end of the show, the whole mindset stuff is very important, because Mike, bought real estate on the way up, on the way down, right? So
I'm bought in every cycle.
in every market cycle. So in every market cycle, guys, you can make money. All right. So let's jump right in.
All right. Hey, so look, man, as you know, first, before I even get into me, man, tell us where you checking in from. We got lines in the Metro DC area checking in. Love loves Cabo. That's nice. So does Dominique. But yeah, we checking in. Where you from? What city is the do we got our Zoom hooked up so people can respond? And if you scroll up so we can
Oh,
see
the
where
chat.
everybody, yeah,
The
make sure
chat.
the chat is connected so everybody can, okay, we good now. All right. Tell us where you're from, where you're checking in at. Yeah, but I've been investing since 1999, lost it all in 2002. Now we own 1,500 units, which now we're selling half the portfolio, so I'm gonna be down. Industrial warehouse, refi, and doing a deal in I was about to say Cabo in Sarasota. We got Los Angeles, GA, Dallas, Fort Worth, Denise. I was passing through your city. I had to
Corpus
stop in.
Christi,
I had to lay over in Dallas. We got Sin City, Cincinnati in the building. What's up? Arizona, Memphis, Columbus. You guys are on fire. Tampa, South Carolina, Chicago, the Windy City. You know, Chicago, y'all only get like 2 months of warm weather. Is that about right?
No, more like 1 month of summer. That's it.
I was there in June. I was like, it's still cold, man.
Yep. Like April, sometimes there's still snow.
Oh my God. We got the Bay Area chicken in, Detroit, Motown. Look, we coming to your city soon. All right, let's get started, man. Let's talk about this stagflation, man. This is some serious business. But then before I get into stagflation,
Oh, you got the wrong slide.
you got the wrong slide, brother. Got to be fire him. Fire this mother sucker. All right. Let me get in started. So
want me to forward it to you, Walt?
yeah, for what we're going to talk about first, before we get in stagflation, we got to understand what recession is. All right.
You got it? You got it?
Oh, that's what you said.
It's okay. Just get them the right one. It's okay.
All right.
It's okay. It's okay.
Wait,
That's
want
what
me
I
to-
tell my kids.
Want me to
It's
share my
okay.
screen? Let me just share my screen.
Recession. So what is recession? A recession, by definition, is significant, widespread, prolonged downturn in the economic activity. Popular rule of thumb is 2 consecutive quarters of decline in the gross domestic product, GDP, constitute a recession. Recession typically produces declines in economic output, consumer demand, and in employment. What the hell does that mean? So look, in summary, what we're talking about is the GDP, or the economic growth, right? We had 2 negative quarters of negative growth. Okay, so with that, if you have 2 negative quarters and they report that it is negative, then typically in recession. Now, what I've talked about previously is, even though you have a negative report, which that second quarter negative report actually showed up in July 29th or July 28th, they still did not commit to say we're in a recession. Matter of fact, they still are not saying we're in a recession, and it's October. We're going into November.
Yeah. There's the data that shows 2 consecutive decline in economic output, or GDP. So technically, from that definition, we are in a recession.
And technically, January 20th through July 20th, we had a recession. But that was COVID.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right. Now, the reason why they're not, a couple of reasons why they won't say we're in a recession. We just came out of a major pandemic, right? So we had that. Then in addition, it wasn't a major negative growth. As you can see, it was only negative 1.6, and then it actually decreased. It was at negative 6.
Mhm.
So we didn't have a major decline like we did during the COVID period. So that's another reason why they're holding off. But there's also multiple things that have been holding it back from recession. Also, recession shows a lot of jobs that decline.
Right.
But
Unemployment.
unemployment was high, but we didn't have high unemployment. Quite frankly, we had a lot of vacant positions that are still unfilled. We're just now in the hotel industry starting to fill our housekeeping positions.
Mm.
And that's only in certain markets. In Indiana, we were struggling for over 2 years to fill our housekeeping position.
Oh, wow.
We're just now filling our housekeeping position about 30, 60 days ago. So what is high inflation? That's greater than long-term target of 2 to 3% of the core price index. Okay. So why don't you go and explain a little bit of this one?
Yeah, so this is the CPI and this is the index. So it means it shows the growth, per year, right? And the Fed target is 2 to 3% long-term CPI. But right now we're not there yet. We are actually the updated data shows we're at 7.9%. Right now we're at 8.2%. Now, typically high inflation is associated with positive economic growth, right?
Yeah.
So when the GDP is high or increasing, then you see a lot of people chasing the same amount of goods and therefore price increases. Therefore, there is higher inflation. So high inflation is usually associated with very good economic growth and very low unemployment.
Yeah. Let me go in a little bit about inflation as well. How does inflation happen? Well, it happens when you have this demand for supplies, right? Let's say Peloton, okay? So what happens is, let me step back even further. Inflation happens when you have too much money in the economy. How did we get too much money in the economy? COVID. They literally were printing money and giving money to everyone.
Stimmy checks.
Right? The stimulus checks.
Yep.
Right. So many people have liquid cash, well, not liquid, but just cash in the bank that they typically wouldn't have. And then not only did they have cash, they didn't have nowhere to spend it because we were on lockdown.
Yeah. And then the whole supply chain issue. So you have, a lot of money chasing the same amount, actually chasing a decreasing number of goods.
That's right.
Because of supply issues.
Exactly. So, for example, the Peloton bike, right? Now everybody's staying at home. What do they want to do? Well, I want to get healthy. I want to work more. I want to work out more, but I can't go to the gym. So now you order a Peloton bike. Well, now the Peloton bikes are in such demand because there's so much money for people to pay for it. They can't produce enough because they're on lockdown. And now that they're not on lockdown, the value increases, the prices increases because now they're paying people higher wages to complete the job, to build, to manufacture the bike. And then some people, quite frankly, are just greedy. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for example, you can get a pen for $1, but because we don't have enough people to produce it, now they're charging $10 for a pen.
That's crazy.
So now that's why you have this high inflation.
Mm-hmm.
But now let's talk about stagflation. All right. Stagflation is the combination of poor economic growth and high inflation, usually accompanied by rising unemployment. Now, this is what's crazy about this. As I share with you now, employment is not at an all-time high.
Unemployment.
Mm-hmm. But what's happening is you do have negative economic growth. You do have high inflation, but also stagflation deals with your rising costs not meeting inflation.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, also, even though we have this high inflation, their wages are not increasing to match the inflation. So you have the cost of that and rising unemployment. That's what we really deal with stagflation.
Yeah. So in other words, stagflation is the worst of both worlds, right? You have high economic growth, usually is accompanied by high inflation, right? And then you have recession, you have collapse of asset prices, collapse of prices in general, but obviously higher unemployment. But now stagflation is like combination of both of the worst worlds, so to speak. you have high unemployment, high inflation, and negative economic growth. And that's going to happen, and we'll discuss that in the next slide as to why that will happen.
Go to the next slide. I'm trying to get
Okay.
this.
Want me to discuss this? So why are we heading for stagflation? Because the Fed actually explicitly said they call it soften the labor market condition, right? But basically they want more people to be unemployed. Okay. So
I wouldn't say they want people unemployed.
they do. They actually do, Mike. They want a higher unemployment rate because they're thinking, well, if there is high inflation, I will collapse demand. And how do you collapse demand? By getting people
That is true.
unemployed.
That is
Because if they
true.
don't have jobs,
Well, they won't
don't have
say
money.
they won't say that.
But that's
You're so mean, man.
No, that's
You're
exactly-
so mean.
But read between the lines here.
Okay,
Look,
well,
Mike.
it's not. Yes, that's the goal, but the really goal is to reduce the market to take down supplies, to reduce the demand for supplies. Okay, to cool it off. The labor market is just, as we say, what happens when it's a part of the war, right? What's another word for that?
Battle. What?
It's a part of the outcome of reducing the demand. It's not that they want people unemployed. It's just a part of it. Like, nobody wants to kill anybody in a war, but it's just it's a commodity of the war. I don't know. That's not a good example, but you get what I'm saying. Just so
Yes,
mean.
so
We want to lay people off.
But look, Mike.
But it is overall. That's what
right
happened.
now is around 3%. They want to hit 4.4% by the end of the year, even if it causes a recession.
Yeah.
They want to soften the labor market conditions. So what does that mean? They want more people to lose their jobs, to lower demand, to really crush the demand. But it's like,
Damn. I guess it does say that.
Yep.
It said it.
All right. So let's learn from history, guys.
And listen, history doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it does rhyme. Okay, it does rhyme. Let's go here, Win. Go for it.
Yeah. So back in 1974 to 1975, right, and also in 1982 were actually the years that the U.S. was in a stagflation, because those were years. If you look closely in terms of the core CPI, the inflation is like 7 to 9% in 1974-75, and then when you go to unemployment, it's pretty high for those years. So yes, 1974-75 and 1982 were years that the U.S. was in a stagflation.
Okay. So what happened to the rents during the stagflation? All right, what's this? What we highlighting in the red? Tell us here. Rents increased by 7% in 1974, plus another 9% in 1975, and 12% in 1982. So that was back to back to back, and wow, that was all through stagflation.
Yeah. So even during stagflation, rents actually increased.
So what happened here?
You would think it will decrease because it's like people have no jobs, but the problem is inflation kind of trumps the whole thing. Because
now how the rents, but is this correct here? Am I reading? So in 1986, the rents dropped. Is this what this thing is saying?
What are you looking at?
1986, right here. So right during stagflation, all the rents increased, and then we see this drop.
Well, this is your year-on-year market growth. So as long as it's positive, rents are still increasing.
Oh, it's still increasing.
So rents actually decreased back in 2002 and in the great financial crisis in 2008.
There you go. So it
2009.
did reset itself, but it only did that for 2 years. So that's what I'm talking about here in 1986. The rent dropped.
But it did not drop, Mike. This is still positive growth, right? In 19, it's so everything above zero is still positive.
Oh, okay. I got what you said. So that's even better.
I know,
oh my
right?
Gosh.
Yeah. So even during stagflation,
so we gotta build now. This is the perfect time to build. Why is it you're like, what are you talking about, Mike? I've been telling people, man, I was not a developer, but I am now,
Mhm.
right? I'm going to build a couple of 100 units every year now. Why? One, because it's getting so competitive to purchase. I'm
Mhm.
not saying you can't find a deal. It is competitive out there. Yes, I'll find me a existing building. I can find me one or two. Matter of fact, somebody sent me 2,000 units to
Mm.
acquire now, right? So I'm getting deals. But with these, it's so much demand for affordable housing. You're going to get subsidies from the city, and with the rent increase. So when you building, at least in Cincinnati in the Midwest, it's going to cost you about $150, at least me, $150 a square foot to build wood, 4 to 5 story stick build.
Mhm.
I can go all in for $150, maybe $160 a square foot. I'm then going to rent for $1.60 to $1.80 a square foot.
Mhm.
By the time I'm done and I do my math, I'm gonna make a minimum 10% on my money. But because the rents will continue to rise, even if they only did 3% a year,
Mhm.
by year 5, I'm gonna be at 18 to 20% cash on cash.
Nice.
But with this stagflation, I could see because this is year after year.
Yeah. Yeah. Like above.
So it
like,
grew every year. So 4 years, 5 years after stagflation, no, this is
like
every 2 years. So 2, 4, 6, somewhere in that 7th year, it grew almost 12. Man, it doubled.
yeah, it keeps on
10,
increasing.
10, 20. Geez, the rents just keep increasing.
Yeah. So that the higher inflation push the rents up. You know,
Now, don't get me wrong, your costs are going to increase
right.
as well.
And we will talk about that too.
Your
Mhm.
costs are going to increase as well, but now you have more cash.
Right. Because it's the top line, and
if you bought at that period of time, and you remember it was stagflation, so unemployment will increase. Therefore, there's a demand, but the demand, the actual wages potentially won't increase. Slightly.
potentially. Yeah. Because of the
But
high, because of the increasing unemployment.
but it depends on the job. It depends on the job market. Right. So certain people before, like housekeepers, they're only making $12 an hour. They're now making $15 to $16 an hour
Mhm.
because they can survive. So my point is, you may not see the $20 an hour growth, but you can keep your wages down and still increase it. This is impressive.
And then what happens to home prices?
Whoa. So home prices increased 11.5% in 1974. Is that a negative?
No, plus.
That's plus. And then 11% in 1975, and then 12% in 1982.
So even during high unemployment, in a stagflationary environment, home prices increase double digits.
Now, that's amazing.
Yeah.
The problem is, if the interest rates continue to rise, the sale of the house is not going to happen as often. Even though you're going to get a higher price.
Yeah. Now,
but go ahead.
Now in 1982, you know how much is the interest rate at that time? 18%.
Jesus.
so it doesn't matter what the interest rate.
Mike, shut up. You don't know what you talk. But
home
again,
prices still increased.
But what you remember, I'm gonna dispute that. You remember I said history does repeat. It doesn't necessarily repeat itself, but it does rhyme. I think that home prices will still increase, or they'll kind of maintain. But I don't think people are going to buy like they are at 18%. You got to realize that 18%, the house, even though it was still under 100 grand, right? They were only, at that time, houses were $25,000, $60,000.
That's true.
I mean, my mom and dad, 1,500 square foot house. Yeah, 1,500 square foot house in the B area. I mean, it was worth they bought it for $35,000.
Mhm.
It's now worth, I don't know, 250,
250.
man, maybe three,
Yeah,
maybe.
the way to think about it.
And I'm 50 years old. They bought that when I was 6 months old.
Mm,
In that area, it might go for 3.
yeah. So basically what that means is, real estate is a good inflation hedge. So really 30,000 50 years ago is 300,000 today. That's what it means. That's what's crazy about it, because the currency is being devalued as the Fed print more money, right?
Oh, and thank you, Shelton. Shelton was like, it's just collateral damage. Yeah. So increasing the rates and people going unemployed, that's collateral damage. Thank you. Did that make sense now? I had to go all the way back like hours ago. All right. So in other words, as you said, it's good to own real estate even during stagflationary times, as inflation pushes both rents and property values upward. Look, man, it's great to own apartments.
Mhm.
It's even great to own hotels. Why? Because look, we bought your rate. If you bought and your rate is locked,
Mhm.
even though rates are going up 7, 8%, so people are not going to build as much. But guess what? Now, when you only have budget $100 ADR, if your rate jumps to $125, just $25 more,
Mhm.
the value that's increased there.
It's huge. Yeah.
Go ahead. You take this one. I'm gonna do a calculator real quick.
Yeah. So why own apartments during stagflation? Well, number one, you should not have your, majority of your assets in cash, right? Because during stagflation, which is again high inflation, right, your cash loses value, right? But if you turn that cash into a brick and mortar, apartment building, right, then you turn that into a cash flow producing asset. Now, why I did not put in here is that, yes, when you buy a house, property values will increase, right? But the problem is, because of high unemployment, what if the house that you rent out, that person loses his or her job, right? Now you have negative cash flow, right? But with an apartment building, people actually trade down during tough economic times. So from houses, they move down to apartments. So therefore, there's more demands for apartments. The occupancy in apartments increases, and therefore they can increase the rent. And when you have higher rent, therefore your cash flow will increase as well, right? So you want to talk about hotels, or you want to?
Yeah, no, here we go. So on a small scale, with inflation, if you did nothing but increase your, I'm gonna show you 2 ways, because if you got like a limited service, I don't think you're gonna increase by a great deal. But let's say you just increase by $10. $10, and let's say you got a small hotel and it's 100 rooms. So 10 times 100 rooms, that's $1,000 a day. Okay, that's what you can potentially make. Then you multiply that times 365, because there's 365 days available. So now you have 365,000 potential gross income,
higher gross revenue,
right? So times, and let's just say you're getting 65% occupancy, you generate an additional, just with $10, additional $230,000 a year. And being conservative, you divide that by 8 cap, you created 2.9 million in value.
Just by increasing it by $10.
$10. But listen, Lisa. Listen, Lisa.
That's a new one.
Where you been? Everybody knows listen, Lisa.
English is my second language.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. But you still got it, brother. You still got it. So let's say you increase the rent or the ADR by 25, because some of these luxury hotels will. Their occupancy increase, the ADR increase, so 25, and they'll have like 140 rooms. So $25 times, $25 times 140 rooms, that's $3,500 a day, right? $3,500 a day times 365, that's 1.2 million. Is that right? Yeah. That's 1.2 million potential additional revenue just by increasing by 25. And let's say you're at 65%, you're netting $830,000 more, all because of inflation.
Yep.
And then look, you divide that by 8 cap, you just created 10 million more dollars.
Cool.
10 more million dollars, $10 million. Listen, so many people are always talking about, man, now is not a good time. Now it's a recession, it's not a good time. Now it's, well, when the hell is it going to be a good time?
Yep. There's no perfect time, but it's always a good time if you know what you're doing.
Listen, man, I was 37 years old. I was more established, okay? I was more established and more mature. And I was still terrified to having a kid. It's never a good time, my friend.
To have a kid.
All right? You can plan all you want.
True.
So my point is, it's never a great time to buy. I mean, there's always going to be some reason
There's always an
not to
excuse.
do it.
Yep, exactly.
But my point, it's even, you want to buy in the worst times.
Yep. Tough
Those
times.
are when the best deals. When people aren't buying, that's when you want to buy.
Yep. Tough times create multi-millionaires.
Now, don't use this strategy when you go to a restaurant and you go to one restaurant and it's full and this restaurant only got 2 people. That might be a sign.
Yeah.
That might be a sign.
Yep.
But if it's real estate and everybody's looking at that building and with the 100 people, and only 2 people looking at this one, you might have a deal.
Yep.
Okay.
So now people are asking, like, what about expenses, right? Don't expenses increase with, higher inflation? It's true, right? Want me to go through this or you want to discuss it?
Oh, hold on. I was just looking at Mike saying, is this tough times though? I don't think so. It depends on who you are. It's a matter of perspective. So for example, one of my good friends, he's a truck driver. And the loads, so they call them loads, right? Some of them don't have contracts for deliveries and pickup. So literally he drives to New York every day. Literally drives to New York to pick up a load and comes back. All right. Well, because there's shortage of loads out there, they're competing. And so now they're selling it off for cheap. Because why? You got increasing, this is how it all happened. You're saying, is it really affecting people? Inflation went up, interest rates increased, therefore supplies limited. There's not a lot of excess capital, or people are hoarding their capital.
Mm-hmm.
So they're not spending. So therefore the demand is decreasing. Therefore supplies are not being shipped out as rapidly. Therefore loads are not going out as much. Therefore people are chopping their prices to deliver a truckload.
Yeah. So
and now what happens? He's not driving right now.
the truck drivers don't have a lot of,
They don't have a lot unless you got guaranteed contracts.
right. And it's a different story.
There
Yep.
you go. So
Cool.
depends on what market you're in. Did that make sense? So is
Yeah.
it tough times? Depends on where you're at. But
Yeah.
listen, if that continues to happen for them,
Mm-hmm.
no cash,
Yeah.
lose house,
Right.
lose
Exactly.
cars,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
go on the open market,
Mm-hmm.
you're getting a discount.
Yep.
So
Like for example, one last case study, so to speak, like mortgage brokers right now a lot of them don't have jobs anymore.
oh man, there's a
Because
perfect
there's
case.
like,
There's a perfect case,
banks don't want to issue mortgages.
They are not.
There's no one. I mean, people don't want to refinance their
Nope.
3% mortgage to
Yeah, why would
7% mortgage. It
why
doesn't make
would-
sense, right?
Why would I refinance my 3% loan
Yep, exactly.
to get a
exactly.
7% loan?
Yep. So mortgage brokers, like I just talked with one the other day, man, like she used to make $150,000 per year. And then right now, like she would be very happy with making like $3, $4, or $5,000 per month. She used to make $150,000 per year. So anyway, what about higher cost, right?
So yeah, what about increasing costs? We're gonna both tackle this on. So let's say we increase the rents by 10% on a hypothetical 100 unit building. So we go from 1,000 to 1,100. We kind of did an exercise like this. You're so on it, Window. This is my guy. Its expenses say it's 50%, and they also increase 10%. Ooh, this is happening to me in the hotel business. So if its expense is 50% and they also increase by 10% and you have 90% occupancy, then year one, 90% times your $1,000 a month times 12 times your 100%, that's
Times-
five
Times 50%.
times 50% in expenses. You have an NOI of 540. Is that right?
Yep.
Now year two, what'd you get? Oh, okay. Year two, here, explain this. Year two, 90% plus you got a $100 increase in rent
Mhm.
times 12 times 100 units times your 50%. Now you have an NOI of $594,000. You have a 54,000 increase.
In NOI, even though your expenses increase, but since it's still 50% of what you collect, right? Therefore, you have a higher NOI because of inflation.
Yes.
Crazy,
Either way, you're going to bring in more cash flow.
right?
If you can increase the monthly rent, you're going to bring in enough cash flow to capture that.
Mhm.
Because even though you got 540, if you took 50% of that, that's going to come out to 220,
270.
270.
Mhm.
Well, if you take 50% of
594.
oh no, it's actually going to be more than that. If it was 540, so the gross was actually
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
1,080,
The gross is 1,080,000.
right? So here, this is almost 1.2,
Right.
right?
So your expenses increase to almost 600,000,
Yeah.
but then your gross also increased by, like from 1,080,000 to 1.2 million.
You make it 200 more thousand, almost 120, 200,000 more
Right.
a year.
Therefore, you have a 54,000 higher NOI because of
But
inflation.
you still have 50,000 more in expenses, maybe more than that.
Right.
60,
But
70, yeah.
that is.
But you're going to capture that.
Yeah.
You're still going to capture it.
It's more than covered by the gross rent that you're getting.
So the statement is, or question, should I be scared of inflation? Hell to the no. Be happy for inflation.
Yeah.
I love inflation.
Right. Like you want to be a property owner during high inflationary environment,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like someone calls inflation like a regressive tax. So what that means is
Oh, that's
people
pretty
who
slick.
are like poor and middle class, they lose money. It's like
Yeah.
an invisible
It
tax.
literally doesn't pay to be poor.
Right. But the rich, and well, it's not like we want this to happen. This is just the reality, right?
Yeah.
The rich becomes richer with high inflation. The poor and the middle class, they get,
Poor.
they get this invisible
decline.
tax, right?
Wait, not only that, I mean, like, look at the stock market. A lot of the middle class, I'm not saying the wealthy doesn't either, but a lot of middle class, they give it to someone else to manage their 401k,
Mhm.
right? Or any other stocks and bonds they have, because they don't manage any of that themselves. And they getting hit and
Mhm.
punched and kicked.
Right.
Invisible tax. So yeah, I mean, matter of fact, people all said, is it tough times? Literally, my group that raises capital, they easily can raise 10 million.
Mm.
They only raised 7 or 8 million on one of my deals. And it wasn't that nothing to do with the project. It was just in the midst of us raising capital, inflation kicked in and interest rates rise and the stock market collapsed
Mhm.
somewhat. A lot of people's like, man, I'm keeping my money here.
I'm getting money in cash.
Like I'm already lost. I'm already down 30%. I'm gonna wait till it comes back. I mean, it's gonna come back, but I mean, when?
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next one.
Cool. So yeah, guys. So it's good to
People ask
own-
your questions. Is this making sense to you? Ask your questions here because we're going to get into it. So look, man, if you want to learn more about apartment investing, join Mike's Big Deal Maker Mastermind. Join the Big Deal Maker Mastermind. Text Mastermind to Stephen at 561-889-8131, 561-88-8135. I'm sorry, let me read that one more. I left the digit out. 561-889-8135 and text Mastermind.
All right.
Go ahead, talk about Mastermind.
So our Mastermind members, guys, like cumulatively, they've done over 3,000 units now. Like if I average it per month, our Mastermind members do like 100 units per month, which is crazy. Number of hotel units is actually wrong. This is way more than 231 keys now. We need to update this.
That was just one
raise,
portfolio.
Yeah, it's almost $8 million, right?
Which is about to jump over 14 million, 15 million here in a second.
Cool. And then these are some of our.
You're saying cool. You didn't tell them why. We're gonna tell them later.
Oh yeah, the 5 million fund.
Yeah. You want to talk about it now? You want to tell them later?
Yeah.
Or tell them about the group, and then we'll tell them about the fund.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So these are some of our successful Mastermind members. So Tim Vest, Robert Musso, Alex Chan. So I mean, it's crazy, like the
Nate
kind of
Barger.
successes that these guys
Nate
are
Barger.
able to achieve. Yeah, technically, Nate Barger is your student too. That's true.
Will over here
Brian
is like,
Adamson.
Will's like
Will is the next successful.
Will's collateral, Malika. Will's collateral damage. He just be hanging around. Hey, I feel like what was that scripture in the Bible? Because this was me. This was me at the model group.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I just hung around and got crumbs from the table. All right. Let's feed me some crumbs. Because dogs gotta eat too, baby. I still got that dog in me. I don't know if that made sense to anybody. They was like, why is he doing this? Dude, hey man, they fed me crumbs. Because they fed me them crumbs, I ain't gonna lie, man. I wouldn't have did my first multi-unit. Well, I did some small. I want to got into a 20, 30 unit.
Yeah, that's the importance of having the right network, which is the second reason here why your Mastermind members or our Mastermind members are so successful.
Why are they so successful, man?
They get to leverage on the network, right? That we have, the knowledge, So the network is more like who you know, right? You get coaching from Mike and other experienced coaches, and then you get the syndication paperwork like PPM, operating agreement, and in this alone, it costs you like what?
I spend $18,000 to $30,000 every time I create that document.
That's crazy.
I'm giving that to you for free.
Yep. So
and then what you don't see here, we're actually creating our Big Deal Maker fund.
Yeah, the Lion Opportunity
for our students. So our students will raise money together and will actually place the funds in deals that we've done together.
Yep.
So what happens with that? They get experience. They get credit. A lot of times people are like, well, what have you done? You're going out there raising money and you never done it before? Yeah, they may raise 50, may raise 100, but they were part of this fund and it counts as credits. And then when they're out on their own, doing their own deals or raising money for others, they can come back and say, I did this deal and this deal.
Right.
And people will jump in because of that.
It's a way for them to get the fund and the mastermind is there to open doors for you guys.
Absolutely.
That's why
it's all about the students.
Yep. And again, we have this coaches in addition to Mike. I need to put Keisha here too. We need to update the slides. But again, text Mastermind to Stephen at 561-889-8135. We are very picky on who to choose, like even if you have, the investment here, but, we have to qualify you first before you can join. So text Mastermind to Stephen and talk to him and see if you qualify.
561-889-8135.
All right, now it's time for Q&A. So again,
so who's got questions here, whether you're on Instagram or not? Here's somebody on Instagram. I got the contract of a 34 unit, so I'm pulling together the team to take it down. It's a little scary, but I got great insights from you, so I know it can be done. That was Clarence Jr., man, my man. Reggie Wakoma. Do you run the hotel or you have a operator that lease from you or run it? Okay. Well, overall, no, I do own the hotel. I do have an operator. I do not lease it to the operator, although that's okay to do. That's another way to look at real estate. Actually, I'm gonna answer this a long-winded way, but I've ran into a group that typically they were like, look, I'll lend you at 7, 8%. And what they do is they'll actually own the building and they lease it to the operator or the owners. So they'll finance the whole project. They just want to make 7 to 8% on their money.
Oh, wow.
And then you any revenue above and beyond that, well, first it's basically rent. So you paying rent, and then after a certain period, you buy it back or you own it at a certain price or something like that. All right.
Yeah, Mark Stephen asked, hey, Mike, where do you see multifamily going with the downturn?
Quite frankly, I see it, the multifamily getting stronger. I see rents still steadily increasing. We just showed data that showed that. I think we're starting to move into that place, at least in the Midwest, where you're starting to get a roommate to survive. Because here's the other thing. The reason why I think rents are going to continue to increase, because occupancy is at a higher rate. Unless you got a lot of people losing jobs, people are still looking for housing and looking for quality housing, and it's limited.
Yeah, there is so much unmet demand, like over 1 million units.
Is that where is that? Is that for the Cincinnati? Or is that
that's nationwide? I think it's more than 1 million. In fact, there are some numbers that shows like it's closer to 3 million of unmet like demand, and that's why building more apartments actually makes sense, because by the time you're done building, right, you meet the demand, and then rents will also increase, right? So because of inflation.
Yeah, I know so many people are like, man, I'm not building, like I can't get the rents up, like the rents are right here. When you're building, people pay a premium. You still have to do your studies. It is a challenge to mix up, but you can still increase rent and not survive, but thrive in doing development deals. Clarence is on a roll. He's got another question. Walt, will you look around and see if there's another question? Clarence on Instagram. Do you raise funds mostly from individual people or groups? As I start, so let's just categorize everything. When you first start off raising capital, doesn't matter. You're pretty much starting with family and friends. Why they call it family and friends, even though it's outside of that? When you start raising money, a friend or an associate introduce you to that other person. That's why they call it friends and family, okay? But then after a while, when you want to get the nicer checks, right, where these funds or home office, they only want to write a check of a minimum of 5 million to 10 million. They even was a house, a family house, God, I'm losing my house. I'm about to say house. What is it?
Oh, you mean
family office?
Family office. Okay,
Jeez.
yeah. Family offices.
Even though they're family offices, they still kind of label those as institutions. Those are the people that write the big checks. And so now we're starting to gravitate towards institution. EB5 may fall. I don't know if EB5 falls in institution, but I would say it's
individual still.
It's still individuals, but it's not really
have like $1 million.
Yeah,
it's not friends and family.
Yeah, and the reason why it falls in between friends and family and institution, because EB5 is more about getting a green card for that investor. EB5 investors, anywhere from 800,000 to $1 million, and at minimum they can get they're supposed to commit to making 3 or 4%. Now, every developer is different. They may offer them a little more, maybe some equity. You don't have to. The reason why you should take it for 3 or 4% or 5% is because there's cheap money, and you have to build the building, create so many jobs. Because you do all that, they'll get credit and they'll get the green card. They basically pay to play. So I'm actually going after EB5 money for one of my project in Florida now. So we raised enough capital to get the project ready to come out of the ground. And if I need more cash, I'm going to get it from EB5,
Mm.
or I'll replace my investors with the upside with EB5.
Mm.
So well, Clarence, man, he's got one more. Okay, last one for Clarence. What metrics do you look at when selecting a market? You know, I don't necessarily look at metrics based on the market, but let me restate, I do look at the demographics and the economy of the market.
Mhm.
So I'm looking, if I'm gonna go outside my city, I'm looking in the Southeast, Florida, Texas, North Carolina,
Mhm. Carolina.
South Carolina, Arizona,
Texas.
right?
Yeah, you
Or
mentioned Texas. Yeah.
Texas. And the reason why the rates are high, demographics are increasing. I was about to say occupancy, growth, the population growth is increasing.
Yeah,
Job growth
jobs.
is increasing. Like all of those are consistent in those areas, and they have a nice base of appreciation every year.
Mhm.
Whereas the Midwest, we don't get all that.
Yeah, we don't get appreciation.
We don't, like California, you know, you're damn near growing by 20% a year in appreciation. You know,
That's great.
Cincinnati's now lately, you know, we've been winning because of inflation,
Right.
but typically we were only growing by 2 or 3% a year.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, Mark Stefan, where do you see, all right, we're gonna answer that. Is there any other questions in there? Okay. All right, anything on the other one? You didn't increase much, all right. Okay. Nothing there, okay.
What about Facebook? No question on Facebook. Okay.
All right.
Well, then you have more time with the millionaire
What?
mindset.
We got Million Mindset. Okay, hello, Mike, logged in a bit late. It's better to build. Okay, here's Alex. Alex asks, is it better to build or buy older units? Well,
Depends.
it's probably safer if you're buying the right deal, buying an older building. Why? Because you already have the variance. You reduce your risk. Now, instead of looking at all these outside, like, is the economy going to fail? Can I get my variance? Can I change the deed or the restrictions on the lot, right? All those extra steps are cut out because you already got a building. All right. And so you can actually base your numbers on real time numbers or where the current market is right now. Whereas when you build, you're projecting what the future costs and what the future values will be in the future. All right. So unless you got that secret transporter time machine, yeah, you don't really know. We're only projecting.
Right.
We're listen, they're guesstimating.
Yep.
Now they base it on solid facts, but really, man, you really can't project after 3 years. You know, you can project something for 5 years, you know, this is what we think, but so many things can happen. Now, I'm pretty consistent on a 5-year projection, but some things may not line up, like the expenses. Well, yeah, you probably did 3 million in revenue, but you didn't predict that your rates were going to increase by, your expenses increased 10, 15, 20%, right? You only had rates increasing by 3%. So, you know, some of the good and bad. So, but I think it's a great time to build right now, but I would not build if you don't have the experience or the team that could elevate you to do that.
Right.
I would not do that because I'm experienced, and I would do a development now. Like I said, I'm gonna build these apartments because we got multiple construction teams that can do that and bring it at a cost that's profitable.
And it also depends too, like in an area where land is limited, then you have high increase in jobs, right? Like you have job growth, and then, you know, it's the older buildings are very expensive or top of the market, whatever, then that can be a situation where it's good to build, right? You know.
Julie Bell said, is it faster to buy as like and renovate rather than build?
Yeah, it's a statement just saying it's faster to buy as is and renovate rather than build.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
find it. Oh, okay. All right. All right.
So
Shut up, Mike.
if you can buy as is and it makes
Yeah,
sense, buy as
but
is, right?
absolutely.
Yep.
If you can
Mhm.
find some, right in your hand, you do that.
Yep. Ashley has a good question.
Well, that's a good question
If
because
you're
apparently is it a statement?
if if you're new to multifamily, now this is a question. Just look for the question mark, Mike.
Oh my God.
If you're
You think you're big, bitch.
if you're new to multifamily, would you recommend partnering in a deal with an experienced partner first?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're new in a multifamily, partnering or getting educated, that's essential. Don't waste time trying to do it on your own because you're
Yeah.
going to catch yourself and get yourself in trouble.
Yep. Just like what happened to me, I lost over 200,000 because I tried to do it on my own.
Now, if you have cash and you can afford it, then yeah, go for it. But I would partner or not even necessarily. You could partner. You could intern with somebody or work under somebody for free. I was just talking to somebody randomly. I share this story all the time. Like, if you want to learn how to do something, just intern with somebody or work for free or volunteer your hours. And this lady, God bless her, she just passed away as well, but she needed another job. But she wanted to get on her own and start her own business. And she ran to somebody she met and didn't know him that were building, I don't know, some daycare or something to that extent. She didn't have the experience, but she told the lady, look, I really love what you're doing. I really want to learn. I will work for you. She said, fine, but I don't know if I can pay. She was like, that's even better because I didn't want anything. And she worked for her like 2 or 3 hours a day after she did her regular job. Finally, when the business was able to afford to pay her, she took a little bit of money, but she still gave the money back. It's like reinvested.
Make it equity in the deal.
Now, let me tell you something. I didn't say turn down the money, but I am saying if you really want to learn something, go work for free. Because what's happening is you're learning off their dime, their mistakes. And when they screw up, they're handling the cost. You don't have all that burden on you. Okay. Look, that's our time there. Or let's say, what are the chances of being approved for finance without partnering with an experience? You can still get
very low.
approved, but yes,
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're talking about 100 units, like it's unlikely if you own one house, it's unlikely to get approved for 100 units. Now, the nice thing about the mastermind, though, is the fact that you can find partners, credit partners who can actually help you get into larger deals. So anyway.
All right, man,
go
let's
ahead,
go.
Mike.
Let's go into the millionaire mindset, brother. So yeah, been a great week.
And stay until the end.
Stay there. What are we giving
because
away
we
today?
will give away, want to give a t-shirt,
A t-shirt.
but you got to stay until the end.
I wonder where you get more books.
Yeah, we will get it like in Thanksgiving. But anyway.
What'd you say? Oh, when you got to stop sharing your
Oh,
screen. That's
sorry.
why.
Now it's time for Mike's millionaire mindset.
Look, so many times people get complacent. They start working so hard and they finally get to a place and they now like, I've made it and I'm comfortable, and they stay there and they become stagnant. They start to be like our stagflation. Because what's happening, everything is growing around you, but you're now a poor economy and you're not pouring back into yourself. You're getting so comfortable that you're no longer growing. But yet everything around you is growing. Everything is inflating. Everything is moving past. And you're losing out on your share of the economy. Now's not the time to get comfortable. And yes, I'm not telling you to go out and enjoy yourself and get a vacation. But you got to remind yourself what this was really about. You're doing this for your family. You're doing this so that you can be financially free. You're doing this so that you can retire and kill. I don't want to say kill, but remove the W-2. Look, nobody really wants to work. Like, I mean, I love my job. I love real estate. I love coming on the podcast. I love talking to you guys. In fact, if I could do this, I'll do it all day. But but I really would rather be with my family and coaching them and helping them grow. But you can't do it if you're working 24 hours a day on the JOB. The JOB stands for just over broke. And I've been there. And they keep putting that carrot right in front of you just to make you run on that treadmill just a little faster, to make you think you're getting a little closer, and you're not. Quite frankly, you're not even growing past inflation. Listen, I just share with you how rents are continue to grow through a troubling market, through inflation. But yet and still, your salary is not increasing, and you're not getting closer to removing that W-2, and you're sitting on the couch and you're being comfortable. Life will not change, nor will your situation change if you don't get up and do something about it and take action. It is not until then that your life will change. You listen, I had dreams. I had dreams of doing all these different things. And actually, the more I did them, the more I took action. And listen, yes, I was afraid. I was terrified. I was petrified. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you, I'm doing $100 million development. I'm scared. It's what I do. I have the team. I think about it all the time, but I'm growing. And look, I failed the first one. This time we moved even faster. Oh, this thing is getting done. And we already raised the money. So we're getting the deal done. And guess what? It's setting me up to do even more development deals. It's putting me in the room with the large, because I'm doing bigger deals, because I went outside my comfort zone. I went to Sarasota. I met wealthier people that spend money and invest money much more freely. Because I'm doing bigger deals and I stepped outside my comfort zone, I got put in rooms with, matter of fact, one of nice young brother I met used to work for Blackstone. For those who don't know who Blackstone is, one of the largest hedge funds out. He left. People offered him $1 million to come work for him. He's like, I'm good. He started his own platform. You'll hear about it soon. Some of the largest platforms are largest groups, investment groups, hedge funds, all of them are coming to his platform. And they put me in the room with them. You know it's over with, baby. It's over. We got more money than we can actually need. All because I got off the couch and got out of my comfort zone. I didn't quit. It's the simple things, man. You can't go off on how you feel all the time. Look, I don't feel like getting up and go to work, but I do. I don't feel like analyzing 100 different projects, but I do. Because out of that 100, I'm going to find 2 or 3. And out of that 2 or 3, we're going to write an offer on 1. And we're going to become $5 million richer. God bless you. God keep you. May God bless you beyond your belief, but not your capacity. And remember, you're one big deal away. Hey, what are we giving away, man? Who's the special guest today? I don't know about you. I feel a certain way. I think Courtney said, I'm definitely making me feel something today. Drew's talking about preach. I don't know. I felt something today. I don't know about you. Did you feel it today? I don't know. Was this something? Scroll up. Is this something? This change your thought process, increase your mindset? Let me know, man. Go
All right,
ahead.
Ashley said, thank you. So we will give the book to, let's give, t-shirt. Let's give a t-shirt to
Who the-
Emmanuel Chikwa.
Emmanuel
Emmanuel,
Chiqua.
Emmanuel, you got
There you
a
go. You got a book or a t-shirt?
t-shirt. Let's give a t-shirt to Emmanuel
All
Chikwa.
right.
All right.
Steve Bosey. Clarence. All right. Good stuff. All right, who we getting the t-shirt?
Yes, I just said Emmanuel Chikwa.
Oh, who we getting the book? Who we giving the book?
Oh,
I'm
the
sorry.
book. All right.
I
We'll
know,
give a
they got
book
one more,
to-
sorry. Do we give that away to somebody on Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah. Why don't we give it to somebody on Instagram, the one who asked questions? Clarence.
Well, that was Clarence.
Yeah, Clarence.
Clarence
You
asked
got
a
the
lot
book,
of questions.
Clarence.
Clarence, you need a book? You still there? I saw him. Clarence, if you want a book, I need you to respond. I know we got a little delay on Instagram. It's about a 5-second delay. So
Yeah, well, he said heck yeah. So I think he's
no,
there.
that wasn't
Oh, that
heck
was
yeah.
before?
That was
Okay, okay.
before.
All right.
So 5,
Four.
4, 3. Clarence, you got to say something, man. 2. Well, Clarence, if you hear me, just DM me. I'll still send you a book. But we got to send somebody else on here. Oh,
All right.
here it is. Let's do it. Okay.
Oh,
He
Clarence
said-
is here. Clarence.
All right. So you just got to DM me, Clarence, and we'll send you the book.
Your address. Yep.
Yeah, DMing your address or where you want that or where you want us to ship it to, and we'll get it out to you. All right.
Cool.
I heard Mike said give it to me.
Well, join again next week. You might get a chance.
All right.
All right, guys.
What Will said he's speaking next week.
Oh, will we be doing?
Hey man, as always, man. God bless you guys. God keep
We
you.
are always speaking, but ain't said nothing yet.
Where did it go? Courtney, I need to see you next week. And if you hear Courtney, I remember we're gonna give you a t-shirt or a book. It's Courtney. She said, I'm feeling some kind of way. We want to see how you feel next week. Let's see if you still got that fire. See if you still got that dog in you. See if you ready to go all in. Hey guys, peace out.
You cannot stop me. You cannot stop me. Go.